if we were taking BP, all right, who's a better hitter?
Me.
Jack
Me.
or Chad?
Me. I can do it from both sides of the ditch. It doesn't matter. Both sides. It's all me.
Hey, I'll give it to Cheese.
You know, hey, last time that you sounded that confident, Cheese, you said you had a strap, and I actually heard before this episode that you didn't.
Hey, I didn't say it's always high,
Hey,
but
let's talk about, do we need to bring it back to middle school basketball? What happened in middle school basketball?
I wasn't comfortable then. I'm comfortable now.
He was the last. It sounds like Chad, you were the last to be picked in middle school.
No, I was just the king of the assist. I wasn't a shooter.
But really, I want to get the story. I want to get the backstory. I want to start with where you're from. You know, where are you from, and like, how did this come to be where you're like a boxer? Like, that blows my mind that people just, I'm a boxer now. Like, how does that happen?
Well, I'm from Puerto Rico, right? And then I was always the small kid in the classroom, right? So I had to figure it out, do things to make other people respect me or just not bully me. So I was telling everyone since I was like in 4th or 5th grade. I remember I was telling everyone I was a boxer, and it wasn't true. I wasn't a boxer. And then I was saying I was like a black belt in boxing, and that doesn't even exist. So anyway, it was like a dream for me, and I was just faking it like I was a boxer. And then one day my mom told me, if you wanna really do boxing, I want good grades. You give me good grades, I'll take you to the boxing gym. And I was like, say no more, Mom.
Wanted to talk about, you know, how you did individually. You know, I see 255 batting average, which we know you probably would have liked higher, and you got 17 runs, 16 RBIs. You did have a bomb in there. And it seems like your fielding percentage is what you're known more for. So how did you feel about your first season, you know, as a freshman individually?
First season, it was a lot of working errors going in. Starting is not how I wanted to start. You know, I wanted to be more consistent, but it was amazing. I couldn't change one thing about it. Obviously did not want to end up the way we did, but individually, I think my fielding percentage, like that's what I was known for, but I feel like I made the most changes hitting wise.
Yeah, I mean, you got the fielding percentage. I got it here is 933, which is amazing. And I got to ask you about the Sports Center top 10 play. How amazing did that feel? I mean, I posted that clip out there for people to see, and people saw that and they were like, wow.
Yeah, I grew up watching Sports Center all the time. I couldn't believe I was on the screen, honestly. It's amazing. It's something that, you know, you do 100% all the time in practice. You do it, but it's cool that it's captured and, you know, you're on Sports Center one day.
Yeah, I mean, I was impressed with the catch, but Daniel immediately messaged me and he was like, forget that. Look at the gun from the knees. Like, I mean, you just threw a dart. Let's go there. I mean, you're jumping into the middle of these games against big time opponents. I mean, you know, you're rattling off Bama, you know, like what's it like just, you know, jumping in the middle of those games against big time opponents like that?
Honestly, man, that was tough, you know, just being on the sideline for an hour and a half or however long it was, you know, and then just hopping in and be like, hey, here's Bama, go get them. You know, it's just kind of like, all right, appreciate it. But, you know, it's awesome, man, playing in the SEC. I tell you, man, the coolest experience to me was the Georgia game this year. Just because of the scenario and stuff like that. We had like 40-something scholarship players, 52 total players or something going down to play them because of COVID. So the funny story is that we're actually sitting in the parking lot on the buses for like 2 hours before, like Leach is on the phone with the commissioner, all that stuff, trying to figure out if we can even go. So after 2 hours, we finally loaded up, went and got on the plane, flew to Atlanta, drove to Athens, woke up. We have like a 6 o'clock game the next day. We're staying like somewhere between Atlanta and Athens. I mean, we get off the bus. It's like the coolest atmosphere in the world, coolest stadium. And I mean, we probably should have won the game. You know, they scored in the last couple minutes of the game and beat us by a touchdown. So, I mean, that just shows like what we're like as a program, and that's one thing that I've kind of connected with is that Mississippi State is the same as me. We don't get respected. We're kind of like the last dog to the bowl, so to speak. And we have to scratch and claw for everything we've ever gotten. That's just like me. I'm not the most talented person in the world, and I never will be, but I'm gonna fight your ass off, and I'm gonna get everything I can get out of myself.
Randy's a big Tennessee fan. We had a lot of Tennessee guys on the podcast. So, honestly, we were all rooting on the other side. And, man, you ripped their hearts out, man, that game. Like, obviously, it's a team game, but you specifically, I mean, defensively, offensively. And the first question I got to ask you out the gate, man, I'm going to find out a lot about you right here. What was the better feeling, the 3-for-4 with the home run or that defensive play in the bottom of the fourth?
Dang, that's hard. Honestly, I'd probably say the 3-for-4 with the bomb.
Really, man? I actually thought you were going to say, I told the guys before the podcast, I thought you would say the defensive play. That I watched it like 5 more times preparing for this episode. Man, dude, that was so nasty. Like, I still don't even know how you made it. Yeah, you hurt Randy's heart, man. Like,
bro, I ain't gonna lie though, nothing but respect. Tip of the cap to you, G, because that was cold.
And I'm, I guess, the best player on my team, my high school team, and make the state championship. And I tell my parents, like, hey, I don't want y'all to come. Can you believe that? How selfish that is of me? But I just couldn't get over it. I was like, I'm gonna be too nervous because, like, on paper, I was supposed to win the match. Like, it was no big deal, but it's just something about it. I don't know. And so actually I told my friends, hey, come out, watch me play. And, a lot of my high school came out and watched, and which was awesome. And my buddy told me after the match, he's like, dude, your mom, was it like, there's this, like, I wouldn't say woods, but just like, there's a lot of trees and over in this one area next to the court. I wouldn't say right next to it, but it's close. And my buddy said, hey, dude, your mom was in near these trees wearing camo with binoculars, watching me play from a distance. Is that not insane?
Dude, she was up in the deer stand watching. I love it.
Man.
I think, as we did our research, found some more intriguing stuff about you that we wanted to lead off with. So, talk to me about Team NEGU and the Jesse Reed Foundation and what that means to you and what your role in all that is.
Oh, well, it's kind of a long story now, but the Jesse Reed Foundation is a non-for-profit, and what they do is they recognized early on that a lot of foundations focus a lot on the cure, which is incredible. We obviously need to find the cure, but there aren't many foundations that focus on care, which is pretty much spreading joy to those kids while they're fighting, spreading joy to those families while they're watching their child fight. So what the Jesse Reese Foundation does is they have these little joy jars full of toys packed up to the top. So cool. But I ended up getting involved with them at the area code games in high school. Took a couple of hospital visits with them. And then once I got to Kentucky, tried to keep it going. So started taking some of my teammates and then some of the other teams at Kentucky to the hospital to deliver these joy jars. Eventually started hosting some kids at some home games, but obviously the last 2 years, COVID kind of knocked that out of the park, wasn't allowed to do that anymore. But other than that, no, they mean the world to me. And I got a pass that kind of points towards why I've fallen in love with something like that, but we can get into that later.
Yeah, we have great athletes all the time as far as like academically in the classroom and excelling athletically on the field, but it's, not that the guys don't have a passion or a heart or a charitable bone. You, however, have created something and really created a culture at the University of Kentucky, and it's bled into the players, the coaches, and the actual mantra. Like, when you presented this idea to the coach, how was it received, and did you imagine that it would take off the way that it did?
Honestly, going into it, I wasn't quite sure. So when I got on campus, Coach Mingione had literally just been hired like 2 weeks before. And he asked us to come in and we had our entry meetings, and he wanted us to tell him our student, our person, and our player goal for the semester. And my person goal was to kind of start this relationship between the Jesse Reese Foundation and the University of Kentucky. And Coach Minge was very quick to say, sign me up, let's do it. We'll figure it out. We'll try to get in the hospital this fall. So it ended up being accepted perfect. But then at the same time, you got to find kids on the team that want to do it as well. And honestly, I didn't feel anything but support from the guys. I had to tell people no trying to get into the hospital because we were only allowed 8 to 10 guys, and I'd have 20 dudes wanting to come with me. So I had to literally make lists saying like who's gone so I can bring the next time. But no, everybody bought into it and loved it.
You know, that speaks volumes for two reasons. One, it speaks to the leadership that you have on that team, that guys, you know, listen to you and they buy into what you're asking of them. But also it just speaks to the quality of player and the character that, you know, the baseball team at the University of Kentucky, they go after and they look for, man. Stand up guys, you especially leading the way on that. For the audience members that want to, you know, help out, donate, like what's the best way to do that?
It's very easy. If you just type in the Jesse Reese Foundation, they make it pretty convenient for you to get right on their page and donate. So if you just search it on Google, it'll be the first thing that pops up. I think it's actually negu.org, negu.org. That should take you right there, but they make it super easy. I don't know exactly where it is, but if I can find it, you guys can find it.
Yeah, we'll definitely make sure we find it. We're gonna promote that for you, but you know, also here on and off the bench, we like to lead by example as well. And you know, our sponsors and Jim and I and Randy got together, and we're gonna get you $1,000 for Team Negu and the Jesse Reese Foundation. So,
Oh my gosh.
just wanted to throw that at you and let you know. I wanted to lead off with that, you know, kind of set the tone for tonight, and just let you know that what you're doing is admirable. What you're giving is something that not every athlete is doing, and I hope that they listen, and I hope that they can find something that they can, you know, find as passionate about that you have with Team Negu, and they can, you know, do the same.
That's absolutely incredible. I was not expecting that at all. And I know the Reese family will very, very appreciate it.